first. Jessica, you ready to roll? Jessica?
Hello.
All right, you are ready to roll. Okay. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Manhattan Community Board 4 meeting for the month of November, which is coming to you from election purgatory. We start our agenda tonight with a public hearing on the proposed statement of district needs and budget requests. So I'm going to turn this over to our second vice chair and chair of the budget task force, Jessica Chait, to hold the public hearing. Jessica.
Great, welcome everybody. This is an annual occurrence where we prepare our requests to the city for the budget that will begin July 1, 2021. I believe we have a few people who have signed up to speak. Let me pull that up here. We have Keith, Alan, Randolph, and Lucy. So if you are still signed up and interested to speak, Jesse, I'll ask for help in calling up those folks. Let me just clarify, Lowell, is now where we actually review the statement of district needs, or this is just an opportunity to hear from the public?
This is just an opportunity to hear from the public. The report prepared by the Budget Task Force has been live on our website. So they may have reviewed it already, the speakers. They may just have other requests that did not, get filtered through. But we actually vote on it and review it in the business session.
Great, that's what I thought. Okay, great. So,
so I don't see Kathy or Keith in the attendee section. I do see Alan Mark, so I will move him over.
Great, and Alan, we will ask you and all of the speakers to limit your remarks, I believe, to 2 minutes. And as soon as you're ready, you can go ahead and get started.
Alan, are you with us?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, sorry about that. Anyway, I'm increasingly becoming concerned about the 36th Street and 37th area homeless shelters. In particular, the area is becoming increasingly unsafe.
Sorry,
Alan, I'm going to interrupt you for 1 second.
Yes.
This is just a public hearing on our statement of district needs. If you want to address any issue, any other than the statement of district needs and proposed budget, you have to wait for the public session.
Oh.
Did you want to speak on the budget or just about 36th Street generally?
Just about 36th Street, I apologize.
All right, then we will call you up at the appropriate time.
Thank you.
That is a warning to anyone who has signed up to speak at the public session or to speak on the topic of the statement of district needs. If you signed up to speak on the statement of district needs, your comments are restricted right now to that. You can still address us during the regular public session. Signups for the public session continue until 6:45 for another 9 minutes. So Jessica and Jesse, is there anyone else who signed up to speak on the statement of district needs and budget requests?
we have 2 other people, again, unclear if you did want to speak on behalf of the statement of district needs. It's Randolph Barksdale and Lucy Lieberman. Randolph?
I have Randolph. I'll move him over now.
Great.
He should be.
Randolph, can you hear us?
Hi, can you hear me?
We can. And are you prepared to speak about the budget, the statement of district needs specifically?
Actually, I was going to speak about 36th Street, so I'll wait.
Okay, we'll move you over.
Okay, thank you.
And Lucy Lieberman?
Same thing.
Lucy, are you there?
Thank you.
Lucy, can you hear us?
Yes, can you hear me?
We can.
Sorry.
Are you
Yes,
also
I'm just for the public session.
Okay, we'll move you
Thank
over.
you.
So we have no one else who signed up. I believe that concludes our public session on the statement of district needs.
Thank you, Jessica. Now we move to our regular public session, which I will turn over to our first vice chair, Jeffrey LeFrancois. Jeffrey, are you here? I saw you. Thought I saw you. Yeah, Jeffrey, it's that mute button thing you got to hit.
No, I hope I'm the first and only of the evening to be told I'm on mute. Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Hi, everybody.
Jeffrey, I'm going to suggest that you start with Lucy, Randolph, and Alan since they've already been moved over.
As they are here, I will give it to Lucy, followed by Alan, and then Jesse, could we please bring over Lisa Wager and Brian Weber? Lucy, are you here?
You just have to unmute yourself, Lucy.
Yep, I'm unmuted. Hi, guys. My name is Lucy Lieberman. I'm a resident of West 36th Street between 8th and 9th, and I just wanted to comment on the letter about the temp homeless shelters on West 36th Street. I really just can't believe I'm on yet another full board meeting where this remains unresolved. It's been over 5 months since DHS and the city placed this disproportionate number of temp homeless shelters and hotels in a 1-block radius. And the situation just remains terrifying. The superficial tactics of increased security, stadium-like lighting, and sanitation have had no impact at all. For example, a few days ago, a shelter resident high on drugs sat right outside my building, yelling and taunting the shelter security guards, pulled down his pants and chased them in circles, wagging his private parts at them until they eventually corralled him back into the shelter. Last night, 4 security guards from the shelter pinned an agitated resident to the ground while he screamed, eventually dragging him inside. This morning, 2 men from the shelter OD'd on the sidewalk in front of their hotel. I can't imagine how difficult it is for a shelter to operate out of a hotel, but what I know for sure is that placing 3 different shelters within 1 block has to be exponentially more difficult. This was simply poor planning, and the city must fix it by relocating at least 1 shelter. Moving just the DoubleTree Hotel residents, we will still have over 500 temporary and 100 permanent shelter residents in 1 block. I'm thankful for the vocal support of this group of CB4, the borough president, Assemblyman Gottfried, Senator Jackson, but it is beyond disheartening that our mayor, Corey Johnson, and Senator Hoylman take no action or remain silent for fear of appearing politically incorrect or insensitive and prefer to continue experimenting with our safety. This is a nightmare and it will not
15
go
seconds.
away. Just please help, and thank you very much.
Right, Jeffrey,
Thank you,
before you
Lucy.
move on, Lucy, can
Yeah.
I ask you a question? The
Yeah.
incidents you just relayed, do you know which hotel the men you mentioned reside in?
It's primarily, it's almost exclusively at the former DoubleTree Hotel.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Before I go to the next speaker, I did not give my full spiel as to how the public session will be run this evening. As is customary, each person will be given 2 minutes to speak on an item of their choosing. However, we strongly encourage and highly recommend that if you are not adding anything new on a topic somebody has already spoken about, please be cognizant of that. We do have a full agenda this evening. The item that the previous speaker just spoke about, we are taking up as item 15, as this board has taken up consistently for the past 5 months. So I will leave it at that and know that you'll get a 15-second warning before your time is due at 2 minutes. And I will go to the next speaker, whose name I don't have in front of me because he was pulled over from the previous session. I believe it was Randolph.
We can go with Alan Mark, and then after that we'll do Randolph Parksdale.
There we go. Alan?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm increasingly being concerned about the viability of West 36th Street and West 37th Street. Despite these numerous meetings, the area is becoming increasingly unsafe. Just today when I came home, I got out of the cab, it was after 5 o'clock, and a shelter resident said, "Get out of my way," and all I was doing is getting out of the cab and trying to go into the building. The noise level has now become atrocious. There's 16-hour day music playing. There's ambulances queued 2 hours. There's arguments, there's yelling, there's screaming, there's drug fights. The sanitation, which was supposed to be improved, has not been improved. There's human excrement and daily garbage. Real estate values have plummeted unlike any other area in New York City. Corey Johnson, de Blasio, is missing in action. The bottom line, there's been no progress. No progress. I'm really hoping that this community forum will give us help. The neighborhood is being destroyed. These monthly meetings are doing nothing. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next speaker, Randolph Barks, and then Jesse, Lisa Wager, Brian Weber, and Brian Pelago. Randolph?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, I just don't want to take up too much of your time. I'm just going to reiterate the last two speakers and just saying that I guess the Community Board 4, we're very appreciative. You're the only outlet we have to go to address our concerns. But there's been no improvement, and it's kind of insane to have 3-4 homeless shelters in a 1 block radius. Whoever thought of that was just not thinking. And we just want to have one of them removed. The worst offender is the DoubleTree. Now they call it the Central Times Square. They say it's under renovation. We don't know what that means, but we do hope that we can at least have one of them taken away so we can have a little bit more of a normal life around here. And anything you can do is muchly appreciated by all of us. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Lisa, are you here? Lisa Wager?
Lisa should be here. I moved her over.
I see her name.
Unmuting, sorry.
Hi, Lisa, you're fine.
It's
Hi.
only month 8 of this, right? Okay. So my name is Lisa Wager. I'm the Director of Government and Community Relations at the Fashion Institute of Technology, the SUNY College on 27th between 7th and 8th, with the 4th Residence Hall on 31st between 9th and 10th. How are you? We're all waiting. As I mentioned before, the museum at FIT's fall fashion culture programs have moved online. They all premiere on the museum's YouTube channel at 6 p.m. on the designated day, and they run 1 hour. They can be part of your culture fix for the week. Next up tomorrow, in fact, is a conversation discussing Native American fashion design moderated by Reagan DeLoggins, a member of the Mississippi Choctaw. The panelists are Jeffrey Gibson, an award-winning Choctaw Cherokee artist whose work combines traditional Native American elements with contemporary references, and Karina Emmerich, founder of Emmy, a fashion brand reflecting her indigenous heritage, which stems from the Pulaib tribe of the coastal Salish territories in the American and Canadian Pacific Northwest. That's tomorrow at 6. More free public programming. Vogue has named Museum at FIT's podcast, Dressed, The History of Fashion, as their pick for #1 fashion podcast. You can find that on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, and there are 3 segments so far. Now to speak about what FIT delivers as a public higher education institution, we have ranked at or near the top of numerous lists that count with students and parents when they're choosing colleges. College Magazine ranked FIT as #1 on its 2020 list of 10 colleges for aspiring fashion designers. They note our prestigious alumni like Nina Garcia, Michael Kors, and Calvin Klein, our location on 7th Avenue, the specialization choices in the fashion design major, and our robust extracurriculars. Also, the site Best Value Schools ranked FIT 2nd on a list of the top New York institutions with online programs. The #1 choice was Syracuse University. Best Value bases its assessment on job placement rates, faculty experience, graduate success, the number of online programs. I got this. Graduation rate, options for financial aid, and student feedback. We're very glad to have ranked so high on these and other college choice lists and to be able to deliver this caliber of public education for students from New York and beyond. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thanks, Jeffrey.
Brian Weber.
Hello. Hi, can you hear me?
Brian.
Hi, thank you. I'll try to keep this brief. I'm Brian Weber, resident of 36th Street and the co-chair of the 36th Street Block Association. I'm here on behalf of the Block Association to support Housing, Health and Human Services letter item number 15 regarding the temporary shelters on West 36th Street. I won't reiterate what my neighbors have said, but I just want to comment. I know that Corey Johnson's office and Brad Hoylman's office has been trying to work at getting more security, more lighting, more sanitation, and it's not working. We cannot make this block an experiment for either the permanent residents or the shelter residents. The situation here is deplorable. It continues. We've been coming to these meetings for 5 months now. This is going on 6 months that we're living this way, and we need to reduce the density of the shelters on West 36th Street. One incident that Lucy didn't mention was one of my neighbors was assaulted trying to enter her building earlier this week. Fortunately, that building has a doorman, and the doorman was able to rush to her aid and shove the assailant out of the way. I'm afraid someone is going to get hurt here. Shelter residents are getting hurt on a daily basis, but I'm afraid that permanent residents are going to get hurt on a daily basis. So I really implore Speaker Johnson and Senator Hoylman to support Community Board 4, Manhattan Borough President Gail Brewer, Assemblyman Godfrey, and Senator Jackson's request to reduce the number of shelters, the number of shelter beds on West 36th Street. Thank you so much for giving my neighbors the opportunity to speak. Thank you, that's it.
Thank you. Brian Pelago.
I don't seem to have Brian Pelago there.
Got it. Let's go to next three. Jane Greenman, Ann Santori, and Lynn Stefanelli.
Jane?
Jane, are you there? Jane, you're unmuted. Can you hear us?
Can you hear me now?
Now I can. Go ahead. The floor is yours.
Okay. My earphones weren't functioning.
Go right ahead.
Hi, I'm the neighbor who was assaulted last Sunday evening. It was about 7:30. I was coming back. I'm not a relatively recent widow. I live here by myself. I've lived here for 16 years. I've never felt unsafe in this neighborhood. Yes, it's gritty, it's part of its charm, but I could come and go at any time of day or night and really never feel like I was in danger. I can't even, my family, my daughters and my grandchildren are afraid to come and see me. They won't come to my apartment anymore. And I'm limited in my ability to go see them because I can't come or go after dark. I was dropping off some stuff before going to park the car with my 102-year-old mother sitting in the car. And the guys, there must have been half dozen on one side and at least a dozen on the other side of our entryway. They became increasingly aggressive to me as I started walking into the building. And
Jane, you're on mute, and Lynn, definitely, if you could.
They ended up
slamming
into my car door, and happily I was able to just luckily the door attendant was there and helped me get in the car and leave. But I'm a prisoner in my apartment from sundown till sunup, essentially. Something's got to be done.
10 seconds.
I'm done.
Thanks, Jane. Did we find Ann Santori? Hi, Ann.
I'm
the
here.
Floor is yours.
Thank you. I too am a resident of West 36th Street. You've heard from me before. With my thanks, because you're the only people who are helping us. I've lived here for many years. I'm 5 feet tall. I'm 71 years old. I watched a family insane enough to walk down 9th Avenue last week, be assaulted, the woman thrown to the ground, emergency help, while her young children and her husband watched, but the offender was had mental issues and was not able to be arrested. We no longer, I haven't been on 8th Avenue since March, 3 months locked down, and then the shelter residents moved in. I was trying to make a point last session, since we see each other every month, about density. Here's what I'm trying to say, and I'll say it in a different way. There are 147 residents on our block. Residencies, some have more than one people, so let's say 200 people, and over 800 male shelter residents. There are no women's shelters, there's no family shelters on our block. We already have a shelter. So that means for one of me, there are 4 guys on the street every day. And I am going to conclude by saying 2 days ago, since I can't walk on the sidewalk anymore, we all walk in traffic, which is safer than the sidewalks. And as you know, we're an exit route from the Lincoln Tunnel. So walking in that traffic is a little dicey, but it's safer than the sidewalks. And I came to my house.
15 seconds.
I saw a guy who was much bigger than I was talking to himself and acting erratically. And I hid behind a dumpster to try and call my husband, who was in Queens, because I couldn't come home. And finally, someone in my building saw me, came down without a mask to rescue me. And that is how I got home the other night. And that's my West 36th Street experience for the 5th month waiting.
Thank you, Ann.
Help us. Thank you.
Next up, Lynn Stefanelli, and then Jesse, can we bring over Miriam Natal? And that should be, that's my list. Lynn, the floor is yours.
Hi, this is Lynn Stefanelli. I live on West 36th Street for the past 20 years. Due to the overwhelming influx of shelter population on West 36th Street, the longtime residents of this block have become the vulnerable minority, the disenfranchised, the overlooked, and the underrepresented. Our safety and public health are at stake every day. Our safety and health have been prioritized above the shelter population. As a woman, I literally take my life in my hands every time I leave my building across the street from the DoubleTree. I have been verbally threatened with rape. I have been verbally threatened with rape. I've had local shopkeepers need to form a human shield around me, a human shield, so that I can walk home safely because someone that is having a mental issue has decided to strike out at me, a random person on the sidewalk. I have witnessed human urination, defecation, masturbation, drug deals, and overdoses in broad daylight. I'm sorry if these words offend you. They offend me on a daily level. My apartment is a work-live loft. Clients will no longer come here, nor do I blame them. Messengers are fearful to come here. I am fearful. All of my neighbors can recount an issue of violence between either themselves or a neighbor. What will it
15
take?
seconds.
My murder? 15 seconds. I'm about to walk my dog. I have 50-50 odds whether or not I'm going to come home alive. 50-50 odds whether or not I'm going to come home alive because I have to walk my dog. And you're going to give me 15 seconds? I have 50-50 odds
Yes.
I'm going to come home alive.
Ma'am, we've given everybody 2 minutes this evening, and you're the 6th speaker on the topic. We recognize the difficulties of the block. This board has been advocating on behalf for the past 6 months. So we will be taking up another letter this evening, and I sincerely appreciate you being here this evening.
All right, who's up
Jesse,
next,
did we
Jeffrey?
get any other new speakers besides Miriam Natal?
I don't have any hands raised. I know it's past 6:45.
Okay, is Miriam here?
Yes.
Yes, she is.
Yes,
Okay,
I'm
great,
here.
Miriam, the
Can you
floor
hear
is yours.
me? Can you
Yes.
hear me?
Okay, my name is Miriam Attar. I came here in 2003 to this community to live with my husband and my children. He died in 2007. And I live and work in this community for PS 212, Midtown West, and for Salvation Army Theater 315. Since I moved here in this community, I try to help and do the best of that I can in the community. I agree with all this for the homeless shelter, but I don't want to go over that. I get hit by electric bike in September 23rd. I almost died, and the guy get out and left because he doesn't have any identification, and those bikes going fast as the car. And I would like to have the law enforcement for those bikes. I called Andrew Cuomo's office and Corey Johnson's, and that's why I reached to you to see what we can do together. No lawyer want to take my case because I have nobody to sue, but I think I have something to do for the community if we all get together and do something for safety for the community. We are really bad. They're going in the sidewalk and the wrong way. I get hit by the wrong way guys who I had 2 broken ribs. I had concussion in my head. I had all my 2 knees and my hand caught, and I'm with a mother who had to survive because the COVID. I just started working and then I had to stop working again. And I would like that we all get together and do something for those electric bikes and also for the restaurant who send the delivery out with no name on. So how can we know who is out there?
15 seconds.
It's okay. Thank you so much for the opportunity. And I hope we can get together. I like to work for the community and I like to be reimbursed and anything that I can do positive for the community, move forward. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Jeffrey, can I just
Thank you, Miriam. Yes, please, Jesse.
Miriam, can you follow up with us in the office? My name's Jesse Bodine. I'm the district manager. If you just go on our website and you'll get my email and you can follow up with me directly.
Yeah, I emailed you and you answered back to me. I will send you all the picture and everything that I have. I had a video from the police and I tried to move forward for that.
Okay, we'll work on it.
Something.
We'll keep on working on it. Thank you, Miriam.
Thank you so much, Jesse.
With that, Mr. Chair, no further speakers. I declare the public session closed this evening.
Thank you, Jeffrey. First order of business is the adoption of the agenda for tonight. Do we have any proposed changes to the agenda? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
I saw Katie's hand as a second. All those in favor of adopting the agenda?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, the agenda's in place. The minutes from last month's meeting, do we have any proposed changes? Comments, additions? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Move to adopt.
And Jeffrey is the second this time. All those in favor of the minutes being adopted?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone opposed? The minutes are adopted. We move on now. We normally go to our borough president. I don't see her here. Brian, I don't know if she's coming tonight.
She should be. I will let you know when she gets here.
Okay, then we will move on to the elected officials for now. And I saw our newly elected state senator, Brad Hoylman, in the audience. Senator Hoylman, newly reelected.
Thank you. Thank you, Lowell. Thank you. And thank you to, let me just first say thanks to all of those that very moving set of testimonials that I heard just now, and want you to know that as your state senator, as a state official, I have been working with my colleagues who obviously are at the city level and trying to rectify this untenable situation. I want you to know that I have walked the block numerous times. I have seen with my own eyes what you see far more frequently, and it's unacceptable. And I just want you to know that I've been in close contact with DHS. I'm disappointed that we haven't had a face-to-face sit-down meeting with them and the commissioner yet. To me, that is what has been sorely lacking. But what we have not been lacking in is information from the community board, thoughtful responses from the community board with alternatives and strategies, as well as your outspoken concern. And I just want to put that on the table. But as Lowell said, I was recently reelected just last night. I want to thank you for that. You know, we are all waiting to see what the results of the presidential election are, but we're also waiting what the results of state Senate elections are. You should know that there were state Senate elections all across New York. We have a majority in the Democratic State Senate of 40. There was some talk of us having what's called a veto-proof majority of 42. I'm not sure we're going to get there or not. Veto-proof means that we can override a governor's veto and have a greater hand in budgeting and hopefully addressing issues like the need to build additional supportive housing for our homeless population. We've not done that in New York, and we're failing you in that regard. I don't know if we're going to get to 42, though. We suffered some losses in the Democratic Senate. We're going to still retain the majority, though. But I think everyone's, hearts are in their throats, waiting to see what the results of the federal elections are. Just wanted to share with you mention of a Washington Post editorial that I wrote too. It'll be in the board report about my personal experience around the issue of familial violence, which I think is pertinent to our times today on different levels. Wanted to mention that my office is going to be partnering with Mount Sinai to host a free flu shot event coming up. You can get more details in the board report, but it's going to be on Tuesday, November 17th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. outside of Penn South. I held a press conference, my fourth item I wanted to mention, about a legislation I carry, which would strengthen New York's SLAPP statute. SLAPP stands for Strategic Lawsuits Against Public Participation, and very wealthy and powerful interests, such as the real estate lobby, certain developers, Donald Trump, use these kind of baseless lawsuits to dampen criticism from activists. One of the activists is actually in our own community board, Michael McKee. He's been sued by the real estate lobby for a number of years now, costing him and his advocates, tens of thousands of dollars in legal fees to try to silence him on issues around tenant protections. And he appeared with me along with some advocates, to advocate for strengthening this New York's law in this regard. By the way, Michael McKee has been sued for $40 million by the real estate lobby. But I hope to get the bill signed. What it will do is basically require an individual who makes these kinds of suits against advocates and critics and journalists to pay attorney's fees if they in fact lose. That's going to do a lot to dissuade these types of baseless lawsuits and protect free speech. And fifth item, in light of a report that we saw in a number of publications, I've introduced something called the Pandemic Self-Storage Act. And that's going to ensure that those individuals who are suffering through this pandemic, like the rest of us, and have their items kept in self-storage will not lose them to a lien sale. It's going to basically put a moratorium on lien sales during the pandemic and for a short period thereafter. There's up to 50 million square feet of self-storage facilities across New York. So a lot of New Yorkers are using them, a lot of them in our own district. And we need to make sure that folks are protected from having their personal items sold. And then finally, I just wanted to note that I am carrying legislation with Assembly member Harvey Epstein called the Save Our Storefronts Bill. And that's going to be a major rent relief bill that's going to help small businesses across our district, mainly to keep them from being both evicted, and give them and the small landlords who have leases with them support through a structure that we create through this legislation, hopefully when we get federal aid under a new federal administration. So that's just kind of the highlights. Happy to take some questions. I will say that the legislation that I passed this past year into law requiring you to buckle up and seatbelts went into effect on November 1st. You know, it's so important that we wear seatbelts because in cabs and now in liveries such as Uber, there are these plastic partitions that both protect the driver from COVID and also, you know, protect the driver from other security issues. What happens, unfortunately, is that when you don't buckle up in the back seat and the driver might come to a slow stop, you get flown forward and you hit that partition and it can break your teeth, split your lip, or give you a concussion or worse. It's so common at NYU Langone Hospital, these cases, that they call it partition face because they see so many patients coming in with it. Well, there's now going to be a requirement that you have to buckle up in the back seat when you're riding in a cab or an Uber. And then I just want to finally mention that we have passed legislation that would amend the administrative code of the city of New York to require all new homeless shelters to conduct a public hearing in the community where the proposed shelter is to be located before it's sited. That is important because, as we saw with West 36th Street, the community board, the local elected officials, and most importantly, people who live on the block had no idea that this shelter was being located in this area. So that's my report.
Thank you, Senator Hoylman. We have been joined by Manhattan Borough President Gail Brewer. Gail, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. So a few things. First of all, it's a pleasure to work with you on your new role as a member of the Hudson River Park Trust. And I just want to say, I know that we're working on the pound at Pier 76. It's an endless discussion, but I did have somebody look into it, and
I'm in a
we
meeting.
are working. I just unmuted myself. I am unmuted on my end, so.
Yeah, no, that was someone from the board. If you could please mute yourself.
You got it. You got it. You got it.
All right, so on the pound, and I want to thank the chair for being a member of the Hudson River Park Trust, but on the pound, hopefully by the end of the year, it'll be moving. I know you're going to have a hearing and a discussion on it, but there are 50,000 cars towed there. You may have known that. I didn't realize that per year. And 195 cars taken in per day. That was news to me. Obviously, 22nd century, maybe it could be done in a different way. And we have many more statistics and information, but that was of interest to me. That's a challenge. Same relevant to the issues of waterside projects. We're working on the helicopters. It's not as much complaint coming from Board 4, but boy, am I getting complaints from Board 7 and other community boards. So we're going to try again. We have been in constant touch with New Jersey elected officials, and it seems like most of them are coming from New Jersey. But we are on it. I don't know how many, if any, tourist-wise, come from the West Side. The West Side heliport is another story, but in terms of banning non-essential helicopter flights over New York City, I'm getting more complaints than ever, and I'm not supposed to do that. So I'm just letting you know, we have an airport in Westchester, and we have 50 airports in New Jersey. Now, how many of them are actually flying is what we're trying to find out. I also want to just say much thanks to everybody on the NYCHA Chelsea Working Group. I have to say that, you know, I work, as you know, for many, many years, maybe 40 years on NYCHA issues. And we have a RAD in Board 7 with a huge complex there. We have scattered RADs all through the five boroughs, but a lot of them in Manhattan. And this is the most substantive. I just wish we'd had this discussion much time, many months ago, because the other RADs are just proceeding without any of this input. So we'll see how it comes out. But just in terms of the process and the input and the residents and the citywide organizations, and of course the miraculous brilliance of people from Board 4, you should be very proud of it because nobody else is doing this, and it really does make a difference in terms of the final product. I know that we had a discussion about the hotels and the shelters and some of the providers. I thought it was a good discussion. The DHS finally agreed to participate. I will have to say that what we're doing is we're following up with the Department of Information Telecommunications to talk about ways in which their apps for recording data could be implemented, and also making sure that there's a single number, because when listening to the providers, different numbers are being called for different providers, and that's not helpful for the public. So on the tech front, we're going to try to be helpful in our way. Same thing with link stations. I know it's an ongoing issue, working with DoIT on which should exist and which should not. And without getting into the specifics, because you know what they are, I just want to say we are following your lead on that. I've been pushing for this public realm proposal. That's the notion that somebody be in charge of our streets. I think I mentioned, I think I've counted 21 different agencies, state and city, that follow up, whether it's the MTA, the Consumer Affairs, the Health Department, the Buildings Department, the Department of Homeless Services, etc. We need somebody, particularly with the outdoor dining, sanitation. I know that MAS, Municipal Art Society, Times Square Alliance are both pushing that. The wastewater treatment has come quite a long way. I started pushing this quite some months ago. Boston found a surge of COVID hotspot by having their waste identified. Holland and Europe has been doing this for some time. Finally, the city has 3 staff people, a Department of Environmental Protection, a lab. They're just waiting for more equipment. They can do about 30 tests, 35 tests a day. They want to do 80. And they can do that when the equipment arrives. I want to thank the cleanup efforts in your borough. In your community board, they've been phenomenal. Without getting into the specifics, just know that I go there a lot, and really people are stepping up to do that. There's a lot of discussion about the tech devices in the schools. It still needs, despite all the press, there's a lot of work that still needs to be done. And we've been calling the shelters to try to figure out what it is that they really need in terms of bandwidth, connection, and devices. We are also had the South and the North in terms of police reform. I was the moderator for the South. I think it went really well. We had young people who were quite articulate, as they always are, and we'll see what comes out of it. It's just the beginning of plans on police reform, and we'll see. We'd love to have your input. Obviously, the Urban League, New York Urban League, REP, the Federation of Partisan Welfare Agencies, and Robin Hood Foundation are the 3 people who've been assigned by the mayor to take our suggestions for the entire 5 boroughs. Applications for the community boards are going to be released next month or next year. We also have in November, we'll be sending you to November 23rd, a tenant resource fair virtually. We'll have tons and tons of tenant reps and legal aids and so on to be able to answer questions. And then we also have been giving out, I think, we gave out money for tourism grants, not a lot. We gave out some expense money, not a lot. We gave out money for the census, not a lot. And we gave out capital money this year. That was the extent of the budget. Thank you very much, Community Board 4. I know there's a lot going on and you're rising to the occasion. Thank you.
Thank you, Gail. Assemblymember Linda Rosenthal also won re-election last night.
Dale Corbino is raising his hand.
I did. Thank you for mentioning that, and thank you everyone in my district.
Linda, I'm going to ask you to hang on 1 second.
Okay.
Dale, you had a question for Gail?
Yeah, sorry, just real quick, Gail. I just wanted to let you know that we have actually gotten a fair number of complaints from Chelsea about the helicopter traffic, and we have, with the help of some of the people on the ground, we've identified a specific operator in Jersey, and one of the letters, number 13, is specifically about that situation. So thank you for your work.
Thank you very much. That's helpful to us too.
All right. Sorry about that, Linda. Newly re-elected Assemblymember Linda Rosenthal.
Thank you, and thank you all for supporting me all these years, and I'm happy and proud to have been re-elected for another term in the New York State Assembly, representing parts of Hell's Kitchen and the Upper West Side. And there is plenty of work to do. The election, I know so many people voted in the early voting days. It doesn't seem as if as many voted on actual election day. And I actually felt weird not voting on election day, but I wanted to be sure that I got my vote in early. And so I know there are so many outstanding absentee ballots in this state. If they are postmarked by the 3rd, then there's 7 days where they can be returned, and only after that are they opened. So it's going to be a while. It's not important in most races, although there are a few in the assembly where things are really tight, and there are some in the state senate where they're tight as well. So that's very important. I have introduced a bill that everyone who's eligible to vote would be mailed a ballot. It's the same what they do in New Jersey. I think that people who were worried about COVID or couldn't stand online just went into the polls and dropped off their ballot in the drop box, and that people loved that. There was no waiting. You just fill it out and put it in there. And so that's something that I think would do well in this state. Obviously, and I've advocated for this for a while, we need a board of elections that is professional. Not to say that a lot of the people who work in there are not professional, but the operation needs to be run in a more professional way, without partisan squabbles, and just has to be streamlined. Many people agree with that. Hopefully next year in Albany, we will get to work on that, but it's very politically sensitive. So, those things make things take longer. So we had passed a law that gave $100 million to HCR to distribute to people who were in crisis in terms of paying rent. I thought that the $100 million was really a drop in the ocean, and we needed a much more robust program, both for tenants and for primarily the smaller landlords who aren't getting the rent. It's a symbiotic relationship here, and it turns out that HCR rejected 57,000 of the applications. After a very cumbersome application process where people would go through the website and get to the end and then crash or unable to submit. So 11,000 people submitted by paper, but there were about 94,000 applications, and 57,000 were just outright rejected, which means there are 57,000 households out there don't know what they're doing. They don't know how they're going to make rent, and they haven't paid rent in the past few months. So this is really a crisis, and I am hopeful we will go to Albany and fix this. Part of what people were banking on was that, there'd be a big change in Washington and we would get a swift stimulus. Who knows what'll happen if we don't win the US Senate? It's going to be very difficult. But really, people are becoming homeless. Landlords are taking people to court. I've had a bunch in my office, even though, they can't evict someone right now. It's still, it's terrifying for some of the people who get these notices, because they just don't know where their next dime is coming from. So that's a real problem. And these are among the issues that we'll be tackling, hopefully, if not here this year, at the beginning of next year. I know some of you participated in my flu shot day. I'm having a shred day, which is usually everyone's favorite day on the calendar, because you've been saving up all your papers. So November 10th, in front of my office, 230 West 72nd Street, I believe it's at 10 to 3. Bring your papers, bring whatever you want to get rid of. Furniture not accepted. But it's a good day to clean up. We in terms of moving the tow pound, yes, we levied a humongous penalty on the city because they have neglected to deal with the issue of moving the tow pound. But we are in a far different world than we were just 6 months ago. the cars that are in Midtown and that are towed to that tow pound are not there. And I think we have to reimagine the way we approach taking up valuable real estate for a tow pound right across from the water, where that could be used for other purposes. Tow pounds, I don't think need to occupy such important, precious real estate. People, we have to look at how car culture is changing. And I know Jeffrey is smiling inside, or even not inside, because he's been very, very adamant about that. And
Linda, I am sure Jeffrey is smiling from head to toe with that comment.
but you know, we're on the same page with that. We can't do it. And so I have asked months ago, and I'm continuing to ask the city to show us where else they've studied. You know, they said they studied 7+ sites, but I've yet to see any paper that backs up that claim. And so we're all going to be on this. It's important to get it off, you know, the pier, but it's not suitable to be right there because people park their cars illegally. We have to treat it differently. And so it's one of the things I'm working on. I told you about the park, DeWitt Clinton Park, getting it fixed up. We're waiting on parks for that. And I think you have a long calendar, so I'll bow out here, but I'm always around if you need me, and thanks for doing your job.
Does anyone have any questions for Assemblymember Rosenthal? Dale? No, you're just snapping. Okay. That was for the anti-car comment again.
I know. He's smiling too from head to toe.
Yep.
So thank you.
So thank you again for joining us. I think that does it for the electeds who are scheduled to speak this month. As you all know, we rotate our electeds so we don't spend half our time listening to elected officials each month. We split them up in two. I do want to recognize that Carl Wilson from Speaker Johnson's office, Luke Wolf from Controller Stringer's office, and Matt Ty from Assemblymember Godfrey's office are with us tonight as well.
And Lowell, just Leslie Espiat.
Oh, sorry.
I believe from Senator Jackson's office.
Senator Jackson's office and Leslie Espiat. Sorry, Leslie. I didn't see her name, but okay. I think she was here. Anyway, we're now going to move on to our district manager's report. Jesse Bodine, the indispensable Jesse Bodine.
Evening, everybody. I'll be very, very quick. So we officially have a new home. It is at 424 West 33rd Street, Suite 508. I and the staff are still continuing to work remotely and are accessible by email, phone, and regular mail. But we will slowly be moving into that space and getting it ready to eventually have as a, 5-day-a-week normal business hours office space. November committee updates and board reminders. So Wednesday, November 11th, the office will be closed for Veterans Day. Clinton Hell's Kitchen Land Use, JD, will be rescheduled and notice will be going out shortly on that. All other committees are meeting during their regular time. Just a friendly, verging on non-friendly reminder that all board members need to fill out their virtual vote sheets by the end of the meeting or at the very end of the meeting and submit them. We can't count late vote sheets. And just one house cleaning thing for tonight. There's a couple folks that still have their MCB4 members listed as their names when they're not on camera. So you have to rename yourselves. We can't tell you who you are, and the public can't tell who you are. So if you're going to vote, you need to be able to be seen. So if you can rename yourselves and then at least at minimum, and if not, then you need to be on camera. Thank you.
Thank you, Jesse. Those of us who are running for, I think in all cases, it's now re-election of the executive offices of this board underwent a grueling interview process with the nominating committee. So now we get a report from Paul Devlin, the chair of said committee.
Thank you, Lowell. The nominating committee met and interviewed with all forthcoming candidates. We're pleased to announce that Each officer of the community board has decided to run for another term. There were no challenges, and the nominating committee has endorsed all of the existing officers as qualified to run and support their candidacy. I believe I have the opportunity to open up, Jesse, stop me if I'm wrong, open up the floor for any other nominations before this process ends. And I don't see anything in the chat box saying that's the case, so we're going to close this now and vote at the next meeting. But the nominating committee has now fulfilled its duties. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Paul. I'm seeing a question in the chat. James Wallace was asking about the address of our new office, which is 424 West 33rd Street, and it's on the 5th floor, for those of you who didn't catch that. My report is up next. As you've heard from the members of the public, West 36th Street is still a problem. We continue to meet with DHS and the providers to try and improve that situation. We are maintaining our position that one of those hotels needs to be moved. As you heard from the residents, we are joined in that by certain of our elected officials, not all of them. But we continue to push for that, and we continue to meet with DHS and the providers. And as we've been, asking for and doing in certain cases since this all started back in March. The CB4 members of the Chelsea NYCHA Working Group are meeting and making great progress, I understand. I want to thank Joe, Betty, Elzora, and Mike for participating in that, and hopefully we should be getting some feedback from them on their progress shortly. There are a group of us, myself, Jeffrey, Alan, and Leslie, who met last week as part of the Hudson River Park Pier 40, Pier 76 task force. The task force and the state have basically decided that nothing is going to change on Pier 40 anytime soon. No great surprise there. But we are moving ahead with Pier 76 in terms of planning for once the tow pound is moved. And there will be a presentation at the Waterfront Parks and Environment Committee next week to that effect, to follow up on where you will hear some of the results of what we talked about at that working group meeting. The only other announcements I have is we have 2 members of this board who are stepping down. Raksha Mathukumar has stepped down already, and I am very unhappy to report that due to pandemic and other related issues, we are going to lose the services of Morgan McLean. Morgan, I'm actually looking at you. Do you want to say goodbye?
Hi, everyone. It's been an honor to serve with you. Thank you, Lowell. I have to move out, and that's all I can say. It's been 32 years, and I will miss you all. I'll join you for Zoom. Anybody who wants to open a nightclub in their building, give me a call. I'll give you a hand, especially Joe Restucci. I know how much he's missing his nightclubs. And guys, Christine, I forgot, you're next. Good to see you all. I'll join you on Zoom meetings. I will not vote tonight, or will I vote tonight, Lowell?
I believe you resigned effective after this meeting, so you can vote.
I will help you with a quorum. Folks, it's been great to be part of this. I'll miss you. I'll try to get back as soon as I can, but I got to move. Thank you.
Thank you for your service, Morgan. It's been a pleasure working with you. And you're getting a lot of silent applause. That does it for the public portion of the agenda. We now move into the business session. Moving at a breakneck pace tonight. There are 8 items from the Business License and Permits Committee. Frank and Bert. I saw Frank. I don't know if I saw Bert. I don't know who's taking this from here, but the floor is yours.
Sure. I'll take it. Unless anyone has any questions or wants to discuss anything, I would propose we bundle all 8 of them.
Are there any questions on any of the 8 SLA applications pending for the month? Going once, going twice. All right, we move on to the Clinton Hell's Kitchen Land Use Committee. We have 2 letters on Slaughterhouse. Jean Danielle. JD, you with us?
Yes, I am here. There are 2 letters about the slaughterhouse site, which is on 11th Avenue, 39th to 40th Street. We've heard about this before. Give a shout out to Joe Restuccia when he was a young man, just getting off the boat from Newark. He saw that piece of land. He said that would make a great affordable housing site. That was many years ago. We are actually moving forward on this. They came before us, that is the developer came before us in June, I think, with a presentation of the building design. It's basically 2 towers, one for a hotel and the other for affordable, permanently affordable housing. The committee had some ideas about the design. We're not a very shy committee. They came back this month, that is the developer. And lo and behold, the modernists and the classicists and the reactionaries and the radicals on the board all thought it was a pretty good design. Everybody seems pretty happy with it. We still have some asks about it. So there are 2 letters before you tonight. The first letter is to the design commission. They have to sign off on this building. The second letter is to Radson, the developer. There's a little public space in front of the building and we want it designed, and we want it better designed, and we asked if we could help them out, and they agreed. So that is a letter to the developer reminding them that we want to talk about the design in front of the building, and as Christine Berthet has pointed out, around the side of the building as well. None of this is controversial. They will be coming back to us. If you have any questions about the affordable housing, I will defer to our housing experts, Joe and Maria. That will be finalized at the next appearance of this slaughterhouse saga.
JD, you got, looks like you have a couple of questions. Marty DeCat.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, Marty.
Thank you. Hey, JD.
Hi.
I'm so glad that this project is moving forward. If you remember, and I'm sure you do, that it was originally not going to be a hotel. It was going to be a single building with all affordable housing. It was supposed to make up for the affordable housing that was to have been placed in what's now a park on 20th Street. When I read this and took a look at item 16A, which is the budget, I began to realize that our community board has a great deal of concern for homelessness, and yet we focus on housing that we say will exist at all levels. And I'm just throwing out as a comment, I'll vote for this, but I think it's time to put the homeless issue together with our stance on what levels, income bands of housing that we support. And I know Joe, for one, has been arguing that it needs to be diverse, but we have a contradiction between our concern for the homeless population in our district and not supporting enough housing that will house that part of the homeless population that doesn't need supportive housing or any of that. So I just wanted to make that comment. Thank you for listening.
Sure, good comment. Thank you, Marty.
Thank you, Marty. Dale Corvino.
Dale.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, it's been a really interesting process to see this building go from like an all glass tower to something more contextual and more relevant to its function. Yeah. I just have one quibble, which is the paragraph about that starts further refinement of southeast corner, et cetera, which is a recommendation about the solidity of the corner. That was an opinion that was expressed at the meeting, but for instance, I had a different opinion. So I don't think that's a consensus opinion of the committee, and I wish it wasn't in the letter. The letter on the public space is perfectly aligned with what was expressed in committee.
Dale, it's a good point. Would you like to, we could add your difference of opinion from that in the letter? Would that be helpful?
Yeah,
That
we
way-
could do a while some of us were this and some of us were that. We suggest, yeah, something along those lines.
Oh, sure. Absolutely.
Thanks.
All right,
Sure.
Jeffrey?
I think I've asked this question before, so I apologize. Why is PDC having a moment on this?
The building is owned, the land is going to be owned by the city.
So any land that's municipally owned, the Public Design Commission gets to opine on and
No,
guide?
it's going to stay on, it's going to be a ground lease.
A land lease, sure.
So therefore, something that stays in city ownership is subject to PDC review.
Okay, thank you.
And Joe, you had a comment?
Yeah, first, Marty, just so you know, the 100 units of supportive housing, 60% is for homeless singles. So we have actually, by our efforts, gotten homeless housing into this building. The second thing is, we note in the letter that we've had 45 meetings about this project so far, meetings, phone calls. But I want everybody to understand the board's first letter about this site was in 1986. So we have persistence. That's the one thing that's amazing here. So the fact that we're this far is pretty amazing. And I think we're down to the if it's Dale and I disagreeing about a corner, damn, we're in good shape in this building.
I would also add to that, it's very productive at this point working with the developer and the design team. So it's a good relationship.
Yeah,
I just further.
Go ahead, JD. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
It's okay. We have further to go, so stay tuned.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out that in 1986, when this first came up, Joe had already been on the board for 32 years.
Only four.
I saw Betty McIntosh's hand. Betty, the mute button, please.
It's fabulous that this project is gotten to here, because I know when I started on the board, I don't know how long ago, it was percolating. I just have a tiny question about the affordable housing. So you said 60% of it is for homeless people?
No, 60% of the 100 supportive housing units will be for homeless individuals.
Okay, and then 40% is for?
General population community,
General.
but low income.
Okay, and then when the sentence that talked about services in item number 9, right before the conclusion, talked about special services for the population, and I guess maybe you would want to change where it says integrated affordable housing program. The units that are just ordinary affordable housing are not to get those services, or are they also?
No, Betty, the issue is that it was proposed to the board, not quite clearly by the developer, that is a possibility the supportive housing units might be segregated on different floors in the building. We want to make sure the building is fully integrated irrespective of the type of housing throughout.
Okay, okay, and then the services is for everybody in this housing?
No, that last piece is about the supportive housing component only. That's where the services go.
Okay, I think something got a little, maybe needs to be a little clarified on that.
Why don't we work on to clarify that? I'll make a note. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Hector.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about this project. Unfortunately, this was started way before I even joined Community Board 4, and I'm glad to see that Joe has been a part of leading the charge on this. My question is, though, I know you answered Betty's inquiry about the homeless population and the services, but as far as the affordable part, how affordable is it going to be? Low income meaning at what type of income are we talking about?
So
50.
Hector, this project is a replacement for Site M, which was a site to be acquired by the city through the number 7 line, 155 units of housing. And the 20th Street site, 136 West 20th, is a park now. Both of those sites were meant for people for 80%, 100, 125, and 165 for basically moderate and middle for working. When those sites disappeared, this is the replacement site. This is the slaughterhouse compromise the community board crafted. Additionally, though, now we've grafted units at 50%, 60%, and 50% for the lowest income, which will be the supportive housing. So in one building, we will have units at 40, 50, 60, 80, 125, 100, 125, and 165. So that full range. So someone's going to fall somewhere on that spectrum when there's an actual lottery.
Wow, that's very impressive. You were able to pull that together. Wonderful.
We're almost
Good job,
there.
Joe. keep going with it. Good job.
Any other questions on Slaughterhouse?
I have one.
I'll let you sum up, JD. I just want to make sure there's no one else with their hand raised. I don't see any. All right, JD, the floor's yours again. Sorry.
One historical aspect, there was a slaughterhouse there, and on that slaughterhouse, there were these giant cow heads. Joe Restuccia has those cow heads, and we're hoping that they will be placed in that little park area that we want designed. And Betty had a great suggestion, maybe some kind of historic plaque or explanation of what existed there, part of the history of Hell's Kitchen.
All right. Thank you, JD. Thank you, Joe. I'm going to move on to transportation. There are 4 letters here. One has already gone out, and it's just for ratification because there was a time element to it, but I will let Christine and Dale. JD, you're raising. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Are we going to vote on the letters?
No, we're going to vote all at once like we always do.
Gotcha.
That's the Zoom rule. So I was going to let Christine and Dale explain the 4 letters, including the one that was ratified. And James Wallace, I'll come back to you in a minute.
Sure. Sorry about this, but item number 11, we have to modify because DOT presented a plan for city bike expansion, and they inadvertently included a site, an expansion site that was not within CB4's bounds. And this version of the letter comments on that installation. So once we realized that it was mistakenly identified as a CB4 site, we removed all mention of that particular installation. It's the FIT one. So this letter that we're considering, I think Jesse has the new language. Jesse and Janine have the new language, but it strikes any mention of the 27th and 8th Avenue site, and also it strikes our haranguing them for doing sidewalk siting of docks, since none of the expansions occur on sidewalks in our district. So it mainly focuses on a request to expand rider education, and also to do some more station maintenance and cleanup. And then as far as the ratification goes, there was a time constraint on which one was ratified? The letter for 30th Street, which is a request for DOT to consider some greening along 30th Street. Since the repaving is imminent, we wanted to get the letter to them as quickly as possible. And the other letters, one is on the helicopter use, and it's supporting Nadler's legislation to restrict Manhattan airspace. One of the nuisances that's happening now are touristic flights of helicopters, like Instagram trap helicopter rides where people take selfies from hanging out of the helicopter, and it's just completely non-essential. And they're hovering and they're flying over Manhattan airspace, and they're operating out of New Jersey to circumvent any restrictions in New York City heliports. And then the other letter is by bike safety measures for 8th Avenue and 45th Street in response to some specific incidents at that corner.
Okay, we got a bunch of questions. James Wallace, your hand was up first.
Sure. First, is great few letters here, and I hope these are friendly amendments, and it's sort of couched in a question. I guess this is for Dale. In 11 and 12, and I don't know where it would be more appropriately placed. We heard the testimony earlier of the lady who got into an accident with a bicycle, and it's mentioned in letter 12. I just feel like, is there more we could request regarding both enforcement? We talk about compliance and education, but we don't talk about enforcement. And that's the one thing I was thinking of. And then the other thing is, along with that, as regards City Bike, it seems maybe, and again, I'm just floating this as an idea, hopefully a friendly amendment. I used to have a City Bike account. I love bicycles. I have nothing against bicycles. If there are people who are using them incorrectly, unlawfully, or heaven forbid, causing injury, it might be easier to identify who those people are if there was large numbers. And I would imagine that's something that could be mandated. I understand it doesn't solve all the problems. It doesn't solve the problems with bicycles that are delivering food, but City Bike is a huge program. And if there were large numbers, like 4 digits, for example, I'm just throwing it out there, then, you know, it wouldn't be unique, but it might be easier to identify people if they like hit and run or whatever.
Oh, I see. You're saying that the individual bikes, City Bike's individual bikes should be identified, numerically identified.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, the first letter, I'm not sure if that's this. I mean, I recognize both your concerns, but the first letter is specifically addressing their expansion for 3 sites within the district. So I'm not sure if that's the place to raise it, but maybe the place to raise it is where there are safety concerns is the second letter. And
yeah, there is a discussion in letter 11, and wherever you decide is fine. There is a discussion of education and
yes,
compliance. So, but I'm sorry, really quick, I just noticed that Chris LeBron mentioned that the bikes have ID numbers. I don't know how visible they are from a distance. I'm aware that
I mean, I think we could add something along those lines so that the within the education component that individual equipment is clearly identifiable in the case of any misuse.
Yeah, well, that was it.
I mean, I would consider that. Christine, what do you think? Is that a friendly amendment? Christine?
Mute. I was saying that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah, so we'll take that as a friendly. Thanks, James.
Sarah Appleton.
Can we put big letters on dogs too?
Yeah, okay, thanks, Brad. Sarah Appleton's next.
Yeah, Dale, just a quick question. Just wasn't sure if I heard you right. Given that that sidewalk site is no longer in our district, are we still just making a general statement in the letter that, you know, just as policy, you know, we are aware that there are sidewalk sites in other districts, and, you know, hope that as policy they will start not doing that? Or are we totally taking out any mention?
Well, there could be a mention of it under compliance. Like, for instance, one of the compliance issues we see of late is riders on sidewalks.
Oh, I think Sarah is talking about locating
the dogs.
Locating the dogs.
Right. I don't know. I mean,
we could keep that sentence as a policy.
Sure. As a general general assertion or as a general principle.
Right.
But we don't want to hang on it too much in this particular letter. Only we have, I think we have raised that before. And also this letter is specific to 3 expansions which aren't on sidewalks. So we want to.
We can just remind that and thank
Yeah, we want to encourage the
right.
fact that these are non-sidewalk.
We could say we applaud the fact that
yes.
these dogs are not.
However, stay off our sidewalks in the future.
Okay, great, thanks. Just
Yeah.
wanted to.
Hector?
Yeah, I'm thinking along the same line as James concerning safety. Is there any way to incorporate in this letter or maybe in a future version of a letter similar to this where well, part of the issue is that a lot of these bikes get stolen or just taken out illicitly out of the docks because they're not locking properly. They need to upgrade the security devices on these bicycles. And I'm aware when they're stolen, I believe they have GPS. Somebody had mentioned that they do, but I don't think there's any real enforcement because there are folks riding on sidewalks illicitly, and I see kids all the time pulling them out, checking the bikes to see if they're unlocked or not. And it's very simple. I mean, sometimes they're not working at all, or basically you literally have to jam them in there just to get them locked if they're working. So I could see why they break all the time. So City Bike really needs to be approached about upgrading how the docks will function, to be honest with you. So maybe they can, it'll reduce the amount of stolen bicycles and bicycles used in illegally. And that hopefully will cut down on joyrides and people getting hurt, unfortunately, with people that are not authorized to use city bikes. Because honestly, if they can pull them out of the docks, there's no way for them to track who the actual individuals are. And I'm curious to see what the numbers are on enforcement on these bicycles that are taken out and used in criminal activity or just illegally on sidewalks, or just for joyrides in general, because I don't think anybody's keeping track of that as well. So I like to see some more accountability on the part of City Bike, to be honest with you. And I'm a big fan of City Bike, don't get me wrong, but I think they're expanding way too quickly.
Honestly, I'm not aware that that is a prevalent issue, and I would like to ask. I would like to circle back with the City Bike reps and ask them about that. I wasn't aware that that was a prevalent issue.
Oh, yeah,
in terms of the theft.
Okay, so Dale, it's beyond the scope of this letter then?
I would say.
Okay, so Hector, we'll take it up next time we get City Bike in.
Gotcha, thank you.
Okay, Marty.
Thank you. I'm concerned about the on-sidewalk policy. This particular place, which is not in our district, I didn't think of that when I was reading the letter, is an extremely wide sidewalk. So the department was, I think, using good judgment to put the bikes on the sidewalk there, and as a result, not interfere with the loading and the commercial parking that block is most of the week. So in the insertion of a letter about our policy of no sidewalk installations, I think you need to be more careful. They made a good choice in this place to put the bikes on the sidewalk. And so we should evaluate that much more on a case-by-case basis. I understand the argument for not putting bikes on an 8-foot sidewalk. That makes a whole lot of sense, but it made sense to put it on the sidewalk in this case.
Go ahead, Christine.
Right. Well, first of all, it's not in our neighborhood, so we're not going to deal with that. But this has been our policy for a very long time, to not put them on the sidewalk. And one of the components of that policy is that once the bikes are on the sidewalk as a parking, indeed, in order to get to the dock, people have to ride on the sidewalk. So it is an incentive to the wrong behavior, even if there is a lot of space. So for that reason, in addition to the fact that we have generally narrow sidewalk, we have said we prefer not. I mean, we have some of them on the sidewalk, and we have considered them, and we have done it in multiple places. So you can be assured that we are taking, one by one consideration usually.
I would say it's a general guideline. You're absolutely right. It should be a general guideline, but it should be case by case. But also we're concerned about developing a culture of compliance, and the sidewalk locations, when they're not absolutely necessary, muddy that argument. Yeah. And I think maybe we could do something like make sure that there's enough signage and wayfaring and instructions to get your bike from the dock and then walk it to this well where you can get out into the lane, rather than
take off on your bike on the sidewalk. Like if they could do some signaling, signage and wayfaring at their docks when that's necessary.
But fundamentally, I think if we put a sentence, which is a very general one, and we are happy that they didn't put it on the sidewalk because it's our general, approach to it, it's not really telling them this is a policy or whatever. It's just a general statement.
I'm good with that. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right.
All right, wait, hang on. We got one more. Brett Furfer has his hand up.
Oh, Brett.
I was just gonna make some of those points that Dell and Christine made about the sidewalk, which has been made. I mean, it's also, I'll just add, it's also a sidewalk congestion issue. Even if someone isn't riding their bicycle on the sidewalk to get to a dock, they might be walking their bicycle. And so on a busier sidewalk, it gets people on the sidewalk with their bicycle, takes more space. Wider sidewalk, I can hear why it might be less of an issue, but it's also about predictability. So if someone is a city bike rider, they always know the dock is on the street. They're accustomed to approaching the dock in a certain way. And if we're consistent in advocating for them to be on the street, the city program hopefully will take our cue, always put them on the street. And so there will come a day where they're going to do a redesign of those docks, I'm sure, 20 years down the road, 10 years. So if the behavior is you approach it from the street, you dock it from the street, they might have a design that will be more appropriate to have the bicycles as part of the street traffic, not the sidewalk traffic.
Yeah.
Okay, any other comments on the transportation letters? All right, seeing none, we're going to move on. I'm sorry, Dale? Can't hear you, Dale. I think you're having mic trouble. It's not that you're muted.
All I said was thanks.
Oh, okay. There you go. You're welcome. We're going to move on. The Housing, Health, and Human Services Committee. There was a letter on the 36th Street shelter. Joe and/or Maria.
So this is our monthly 36th Street letter. And it's basically pretty much a repeat of our letter to DHS and the mayor's office and NYPD. And now this is directed instead toward the elected officials to meet with us to discuss this specifically, come up with a plan to solve the problem, to hopefully get the electeds on the same page. And we put this graph in the center after line 26 that shows you just how much we are bearing in our district. But then out of that 8% of the single homeless beds are in a 1-block radius on 36th and 37th Street citywide in a temporary shelter. So that's a crazy thing, and that's why we're asking. Yeah, JD?
All right, excellent letter, Joe. I want to ask you and Maria if about the possibility of putting right up front, right after your opening paragraph, what you have is your conclusion. That is.
Yes, I thought about that already.
Okay.
Got it.
And
Yep.
could I further suggest that after what I hear tonight, Jeffrey, can we have a 2-minute limit on the politicians from now on?
It's supposed to be 5, JD, but
I'm going to make a motion, we move it to 2. But after what I'm hearing tonight, the reluctance, I don't know how else to phrase it, of our electeds to grapple with this. Can we make that sentence clear, specific? We urge, we demand, we insist that Dick Gottfried, Brad Holloman, Corey Johnson, Gail Brewer, sit down with the board as soon as possible, or something like that, just to make it specific and more forceful.
Well, we actually have addressed it to them all individually on the top.
Okay.
We call them out by name, so I think.
Okay.
I think we've done that.
Okay, but just put it up front. That'd be great.
Yep, got it.
Christine.
Yes, the testimony tonight was very poignant, and I wonder if, I mean, at a minimum, we should be clearly, there are some individuals which are more dangerous than others, right? And I think we need our elected and the NYPD to address that. The people which are really dangerous should be removed for, there is a lot of people right now that NYPD removes from the streets. There are disorderly conduct, obstruction of the street, congregation on the sidewalks. And, we need to be able to take the people and remove those which are terrorizing the neighbors. This is not, I don't understand why NYPD cannot use the laws on the books to do that.
Christine, this is a bigger problem than just this block. Last week, my office, we have a mentally ill tenant from West 42nd, came to our office, was not let in because our office is not open. He persisted. He broke the glass in the front door. He ripped off his shirt, screaming he was an angel. The police were called. They tried to deal with him, and they got a call in the middle, and they left the man screaming in the middle of the street. This is an endemic thing throughout our entire city right now, between EMS and the police, that there's a sort of, they're not really acting, and it's not just this block.
My point was exactly that. Don't we have a message to the head of NYPD and de Blasio saying, look, it's one thing to put homeless people in one place, and we're all for that. But it's another thing to have like a subgroup which is terrorizing everybody. So it's like, I don't want to say we have a gang, but it looks like we have a gang.
We did that last month when we wrote to the mayor and the police commissioner and head of DHS. This is now elected officials come and talk to us because you cannot ignore it any longer. And we're really getting frustrated.
What's the response from the head of NYPD?
There has been no response to our letter from last month, right? Jesse or Lowell? You're on
Sorry,
mute.
we have not gotten any official response.
We've never had an official response. We've had ongoing conversations, as you're aware, but there has never been an official response from DHS in writing to us.
Well, there was one about 2 or 3 letters ago, but
yeah, not to the most recent one. Yeah,
I'm talking now about NYPD because what I'm hearing today, there is we don't like it, but now I'm hearing people are being attacked. And, if any other person than a homeless was attacking you, the NYPD would take a step, I hope.
I had a conversation this week with the 10th about this very issue.
Yeah.
And the answer was, we cannot do certain things. They invoke the bail law. They talk about EMS. There's a lot, quite frankly, Christine, there's a bit of doublespeak here. So that's what's very frustrating, well beyond the DHS and the mayor's issue, that the cops are of two minds.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
Very
I tried. I'm very frustrated. I tried.
Yeah.
Oh, and finally, final question is, have we talked to the owner of the property? What was the double tree?
Double trees, yeah. We're actually, what we're trying to do, Christine, is we're trying to reach the mortgagee. We feel that the lender is even more important than the owner.
Yes. I'm glad you're doing that. Thank you.
Okay, I want to jump in and clarify something there. The board has not done that. There is an organization that Joe is a member of that is addressing this outside the scope of the board. The board has not reached out to the lender at all. We have been working solely with the city agencies. So Joe, maybe you want to just say something briefly about the distinction?
Actually, no, we're just trying to identify it right now. That's the only, from the broader community, because we know that many times, for example, the DoubleTree name came off the hotel because the franchise, DoubleTree, did not want their name associated.
I think Lowell is talking about the new group that you have.
Oh, I'd like to really present that, Lowell, in a broader venue so we do it once and properly.
Okay, no, because the question about reaching out to the lender or identifying the lender is being done not by the community board.
Right.
But just wanted to clarify that. Dale, I do see you. I will get back to you. I'm going in the order I saw the hands. James Wallace was next. Same to you, Betty.
I just have 2 things. One, the testimony today was, it doesn't get any easier. It was just as hard this time. I wanted to say one thing to the many people we have attending the meeting who aren't members of the board, we have been working on this and we will continue to work on this. And this is, I think, I don't know if I speak for everyone, but I certainly speak for myself, #1 priority. Joe, I know you all are doing the best you can with these letters, and we can only do so much. We're an advisory committee. The one tweak I would just ask, if you take it as a friendly amendment, is in line 48. Line 48 through line 50, we use the term dangerous situation. And I'm going to add some language to the chat. And I think it helps address the NIMBY thing while at the same time making it more specific. The current situation presents a clear and present danger to the health and safety of the clients of the shelter, as well as to the residents, visitors, and businesses of MCB4. I think it just puts a finer point on it. I know this is directed at the electeds, and I know that, they come to our meetings, but I hope you take that as a friendly amendment. It's just trying to put a finer point on it.
James, just email me that, because we had similar language in the prior letter that I took out, so we can put it back in. But just email that to me so I can drop it in, okay?
Will do.
Yeah, and we also received some other emails for other friendly amendments, so thank you.
We got a lot of clarifications from folks on 36th Street, things that were not quite right, so we're fixing that also. You're on mute.
Lowell, yes, I'm on mute. I got it. Katie Stokes is up next.
Hey there. So I think JD's point is a really good one. I think it's important that we bring up to the beginning, the ask about dedensifying. I think that there was a point that we made in the last letter that isn't in this one that I would suggest you bring up, and that is simply that we're happy to have it in our district, but we need it moved. So we want to dedensify, but we're not asking to put it somewhere else. I think that's a really strong point, and we want to make sure that the electeds know that. Yeah. So, and I will say that I think the thing to really focus on is dedensifying, and not just, this is dangerous to everybody, because they're going to argue that that would be true about any of them, and that it doesn't really make the point about dedensification. So we really just have to, I think, focus on dedensification. But anyway, I would also just suggest adding the language about the fact that we're happy to have it somewhere else in our district.
Got it.
Dale, you're up.
I have a question, Joe. Maybe as I understand it, this all was precipitated by the fact that they had to move facilities due to COVID.
Yes.
People were in congregate shelters, so
right.
It was separated, so COVID would not spread.
Are they seeking to cure the congregate shelters, or
no?
So this is a short-term situation that they're going to be dealing with for an unknown but longer period. It's not getting. There's no timeline for them to go back to whatever normal was.
DHS indicated in a number of meetings this would be sometime in the second or third quarter of 2021, the earliest to move people back, and they were not even clear about that date. They said that's what that was it.
So they're not. Are there active measures to cure those buildings, like to make them? To improve the ventilation system? No, they're just moving them back.
No, it's not about ventilation. It's that people are in a congregate
context.
And like that is the nature of it,
Right, okay. Got it, thanks.
Mike Noble.
Yeah, I think letter's great. One thing that I wish is that everyone we've addressed these letters to could have heard the testimony tonight. We had a few people, well, the most intense testimony, heartbreaking testimony, as a matter of fact. So I'm suggesting we drop a link to this meeting into the letter. Let them hear. If somebody in their staff wants to hear this meeting, I think.
Let me just note that we have had multiple housing committees attended by multiple elected official reps, and the testimony has been as heartbreaking and disturbing every single time.
Okay.
I think that people who hear this and don't understand the nature of living there just are being deaf.
Well, because tonight is like, was the, cherry on top of all of the testimony we've heard at general meetings. Tonight was the best, and there's only a handful of people. So anyway, but yeah.
Mike, I do want to point out, Brad said he heard it. Carl has been here all night from Corey's office.
Yeah.
Dick and Gail are already, on board with this.
And some of the folks also who live on 36th Street have also sent emails and spoken to reps from each of those offices.
And it's also the poor souls who are running around doing these things. Kind of think about those people.
Yeah, I think James's language addresses that,
Yeah.
Mike.
Yeah.
I'm going to move on here. Betty?
First, regarding the letter, which is a great letter, I think even like the first or second sentence should be, we want an action plan. And I think you need to put the community board vote information somewhere up there up front. Don't we need to have we voted, right?
I'm sorry, it dropped out from the reworking from the prior letter, Betty.
Okay, but I'm not done on this. I have heard, gone to every housing meeting, every community board meeting, and I'm so upset for these people. And I feel that maybe this is too radical, but at some point, maybe it's not the official community board, but some kind of either protest, publicity, local newspapers. These stories ought to get out, and I don't know who you want to embarrass, but maybe that's not what the community board does, but maybe somebody whose name doesn't have a community board affiliation. But I mean, isn't there some kind of more dramatic action we can take?
Betty, Joe, before you answer that, AM New York did pick up a protest about this. Of course, they did identify a picture of Dolores as Maria, but they did pick up the story.
So what Lowell spoke to before is that the community has organized a new group, the Hell's Kitchen Neighborhood Coalition, which is made up of the block associations, different not-for-profit organizations, the Garment Center Alliance, the Manhattan Plaza Tenant Association, Hudson Yards, a whole group of people together to basically bring publicity to this, because we really believe that it's not understood that we're not the folks of the Upper West Side who are just saying we don't like anybody, but it's just horribly managed. So Betty, that activity is ongoing, and Jesse, we can send him the articles and coverage so far and the ongoing efforts, because there's also now, just for everyone's information, a lot of video that is beyond disturbing from what we've heard tonight.
So where is that video going to get seen by the public?
That is being brought to various news organizations so they can make a story of this, Betty.
Good. I mean, at some point, we've got to get that out so that somebody gets embarrassed by this.
Right, and normally that's the function not of the community board, but of the community organizations to pull stuff together.
Well, I'm glad that they're doing that.
Is that carefully said, Lowell?
Yeah, that was good. That was good. Brett.
Yeah, thanks. Just a suggestion. It's good that you're trying to get a meeting with all our electeds just to kind of hammer the point. I would suggest that in addition to the meeting, or maybe you have the meeting outdoors, get a tour, like see if you can get them to walk the neighborhood.
We've done tours. The problem is Maria's done them. When you do the tours, DHS knows about it. Everyone's gone. It's the most ridiculous thing in the world.
Well, don't publicize when you're coming. Just, I'm just saying, like, meet and then take a walk with the public officials and say, like, this is,
Maria,
let's go see before we sit down to meet, and see if you can get that, and a little bit like what Betty was saying, invite someone from the press for a little impromptu tour as well, so you can get somebody on record saying, oh yeah, that's terrible, we got to fix that.
Brett, I know Brad has done that on a couple of occasions. I know Carl is aware of it. I don't
Carl
think,
has done it.
yeah, Carl's done it. I don't know that Corey has actually done the area we're talking about. I don't know that Eric has, but I know Carl has from their office as
Yeah.
well aware of it.
Eric
has. I was there.
Eric has.
Eric has.
Okay.
Yeah, I was there.
Yeah, Christine.
Brad did one today. Robert Jackson has as well.
DHS has.
Yeah, but all these tours are nothing because you tour, and at the end of the day, what do? Nothing.
Well, it's not just to go see what the situation is on site. All the people that are coming to speak, the neighbors, let's meet them along the way, hear their stories, so they can actually point to, this is where I was on the sidewalk when this happened to me, and it becomes.
I have to say, quite frankly, the area is quite dicey. I would not have people be out there because people are pointing to various neighbors. That's not a good thing. But also, Brett, some of the video, there's a video of the security guards punching the homeless residents back and forth in front of the DoubleTree. That, when that becomes more public, it's not going to be a good story for anybody. So, you know.
All right. I've still got 4 hands up. I'm going to cut off the discussion after Dolores. 5 hands up. I'm going to cut the discussion off after Dolores because I didn't give fair warning. I'm going to ask all of you to please keep your comments short. Jeffrey's rules, about not repeating whatever everyone else has said will now apply. Hector.
Oh, that's not good. Anyway, just to make it short, being on the housing subcommittee with Maria and Joe, it's been very aggravating to say the least, and I really feel for these folks. And living in NYCHA housing, I mean, we've dealt with this on a daily basis for a while, but to see such a densely populated area with so many hotels, and the homeless situation has really gone out of hand, it's very disheartening, and I really feel for these people. Recommendations are, we're gonna have to, somebody's gonna have to embarrass some people, unfortunately, and the higher ups, and with DHS and the mayor probably as well, because folks are not doing their job, and somebody needs to point that out and put the spotlight on them. Unfortunately, that's the way things need to get done sometimes.
All right, I'm going to jump in there. It is not our role as a community board to embarrass other city agencies or our electeds. There are other groups that are working that angle. We are going to continue to follow the tone of this letter, which is one of these hotels must be moved, and that we are asking you to help us get DHS to move this. If the electeds don't get on board, we will do this ourselves. It is going to happen because we're not going to let up. But in terms of the embarrassing thing, that's not our function. Leslie.
I feel like I'm Groundhog Day. This might be the 135th letter about this that we've talked about. And Joe and Maria, your letters have been really, I mean, all of them have been great. But I do have to say they're aware, the elected officials are aware of the problem. They know what's going on. They've done walks. We have talked to them umpteenth times. They are, some of them, I want to give props first to Gail, Dick, and Robert, but the ones who haven't signed on to the letter or our cause, I guess, they have a moral opposition to the word or the de-densification part. So no matter what we talk about, de-densification or moving a shelter, they said they are not going to sign on to for whatever reason, whether it is political, whether it's a media thing. So Joe and Maria and Lowell, I guess to a certain extent, what can we do about that part that they kind of put their foot down and said, no matter what, we are not going to sign on to anything that says de-densify or move?
So we're not asking anybody to sign on anything. We're telling them this is a real problem. It's not going away. And we need to solve it. And you need to be involved in the solution. This was the request at our last meeting of housing was, okay, we now spoke to the city agencies. Now use our elected officials representing us, weigh in here and work with us to solve it. And I mean, the problem is that you're right, it is Groundhog Day, but it is getting worse. And I've said meeting after meeting, I'm concerned about it. The next incident happening that is going to be just unbelievably dangerous or troublesome. So.
Yeah, and we can do that. I mean, we have made clear that, as Joe said, this has to be solved. We have given them the solution. We have said we will gladly move this within our district. So this is not the Upper West Side. This is not the financial district where, you know, there are coalitions of NIMBY people trying to move this. That's not the position we're taking here. We just want this solved for the residents of 36th Street. Dale, didn't you get one bite at this apple already?
Did, but I have a different question. Totally
Very
different
quickly,
point.
please.
Not grandstanding. I just want to know, Joe and Maria, has any effort been made, and I'm not impugning anybody if it hasn't, to identify an alternative site, an alternative operator? Because I know that's going to open a can of worms somewhere. But is that a road we should go down?
We have two things. One is we've said within the district, the problem is the hotels are referred by the Hotel Association of New York in a contract with DHS. So basically they have to find a willing hotel owner / operator to do it.
So why aren't they on this letter and say, look,
we sent that to that letter to them last month.
Okay, gotcha. Thanks.
And then for the operator, we're very clear. Our concern is, what if it gets moved, one of them gets moved, and the operator doesn't perform? So we really want to know what happens next on that.
Gotcha. Okay.
Paul?
Thanks. This isn't directly about this letter, but to follow up on a point that Dale made earlier, and I know we're trying to deal with an immediate crisis, but is anybody talking to DHS about retrofitting existing shelters to decongregate for the future, so that if they're going to be in these hotels until the third quarter of next year, are they doing construction to retrofit those old shelters? And can we ask them to do
really
that?
believe that if there's a huge plan, you're in a different city.
Joe, you need to be a little louder.
Yeah, Joe,
you believe there's a huge plan, you're in a different city.
Or you're at least living thinking there's a different mayor.
With the circumstance. There's a management problem on the providers in the agency in the mayor's office. It's a management problem. I want to say over and over.
Yeah.
Because in fact, we have groups operating, I said it in multiple meetings, Black Veterans for Social Justice of the Watson. We don't have these issues. It's not so many people and it's well managed. So I don't know how we can get clearer until we scream into the sky about it.
And I just want to highlight something. BVSJ, that is on 36th Street, they have 330 beds where the DoubleTree site, Micah, the provider, has 275. And the people who live on 36th Street are speaking mostly about the DoubleTree, the former DoubleTree. So I think that tells you something about the way the shelter provider, the way it's managed.
No, I'm sorry. I'm talking about a completely different issue.
Yeah, no, Paul, because you're talking about a different issue, I'm going to shut it down in the interest of time. We can circle back to that at another time. I hear you. I understand what you're saying, but let's stay focused on this letter right now. To what Maria just said and what Joe said about Black vets, the last call we had with DHS, all of the providers on 36th Street were on the call, and I asked point blank the rep from Black Vets for Social Justice, you know, I said, you're running the Watson on 57th Street. The biggest complaint they've had there is they had one noise complaint because, you know, people were congregating and talking in the courtyard at the hotel where they're supposed to be, but it was bothering a neighboring building, and they fixed that. I said, what's the difference between 57th Street and 36th Street? And the guy from the shelter operator said the problem is density. So DHS has heard this not only from us, they've heard it from the providers as well. Dolores, you're gonna take us home on this.
I'm sorry, Lo. Just
Go
to
ahead,
give context, the reason BVSJ mentioned the difference between 57 and 36 is because they also run a site on 57th Street.
Yeah, no, I think Joe made that point that they're running the Watson. Okay. So that's why I asked, the gentleman's name is Jelani. I asked Jelani point blank in front of DHS, what's the difference? And DHS heard loud and clear even from the providers that the problem on 36th Street is density. All right, Dolores, bring us home on the topic.
Well, I'm not quite bringing it home. I'm actually suggesting something. Joe, Maria, I'm thinking that if we were to add as an addressee, and I don't know who the person would be, but essentially the New York State SAR for COVID. Someone within Cuomo's administration is very highly concerned about the rising numbers. We already have had people speak to the fact that in that zip code, the number of cases have risen. DHS continues to say that they have no cases, mainly because, as we understand, as soon as anyone tests positive, they remove them. That does not remove the health threat. I think we need to be addressing to Cuomo's COVID task force, or whoever is head of that area, to highlight that this is also a health issue for everyone involved, the residents in the shelters and the residents on the street. And that may give us another angle for a little bit of firepower for the governor to take notice of something that will be pushing against the great progress that he has made in stemming the tide of the virus.
So Dolores, I'm going to suggest that we do that at our next housing committee meeting, and you're going to do the research to find out who we write to, because I think it's important that we keep this letter focused and get the next issue, because basically we have to keep this on everyone's attention span.
Understood. So then can we at least CC the governor so that
Yes.
there is a trail of
Yes.
that being flagged to the state? And
Got it.
then we focus this month on bringing a very specific letter to talk about the COVID risk.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Dolores. I'm sorry if there were other people who wanted to comment, but I think we know where this letter is going. You know, I commend Joe and Maria for staying with this as long as they have. We are going to get this done. I don't know when, I don't know how, but we're going to get this done. So
Thank you,
that's
Lowell.
it. That's for Housing, Health, and Human Services. There are 2 letters coming out of exec. One is the Statement of District Needs. Jessica will handle any questions anyone has.
Thank you, Lowell. I just want to start by, both acknowledging that it's the work of the Budget Task Force and more broadly the Community Board that puts together the Statement of District Needs and identifies priorities that we are looking to fund within the district. We had a great number of successes last year. I think everyone might still be tired from last night, so I won't go through them all, but I encourage you to look at page 8 on the Statement of District Needs, where we outline what some of those accomplishments are. Certainly things for schools, for housing, for some of the key priorities that this district and this community board have championed for a long time. This year is obviously a very challenging year where we are simultaneously obviously experiencing a global pandemic with economic impact that we're just beginning to feel, frankly. And so the implications for the budget obviously are going to be significant. The Budget Task Force worked with all of the chairs and all of the committees to come up with a plan for how to think about the priorities, recognizing that we have longstanding priorities of the community board that we abide by, while also recognizing that this is an incredibly changing and challenging environment. And so I really want to give a lot of credit to all of the committees who dug in and did the hard work of saying, yeah, we've prioritized X, Y, and Z for years, but we're facing something we've never faced before. And so we're going to put those things, not lose them, of course, but put them down on a list and prioritize some more immediate short-term needs that we're seeing, maybe even long-term needs, but things that we're seeing that we hadn't seen before. And so really impressed at how quickly people have moved to understand the needs of the community and what they're seeing. To help aid in that, I want to acknowledge that we did do a community survey, which we'll be sharing back to all of the different committees very shortly. We had over, I think it was over 200, maybe even 300 responses from the community. We use this to kind of give us a texture of where people were seeing challenges. Obviously, there's a process around the things that we need to have written letters on this. We need to have had meetings on things. So we use this survey really as sort of a touchstone for where is the community and what are some of the issues that maybe we were already hearing and seeing at the committees. We will be sharing those surveys back with everyone so that we can be a little bit more proactive or just more informed by the community voice about what's going on. But by and large, the issues were our existing priorities of affordable housing and this heightened need, I would say, for issues of not just neighborhood preservation and air quality and traffic, but largely around homelessness and education. And so you'll see in the Statement of District Needs that you all have a copy of, that these priorities have been amplified this year. You'll see in the budget priorities, both expense and capital, a real emphasis on homelessness prevention, housing, and education, as well as associated services. And again, we affirm our longstanding priorities, and so they are all, we believe they are all here. And this really was a hard task of the budget task force to find that right balance to present as a unified piece. So I just want to acknowledge, that this is a hard budget cycle, and we did our best to put in the things that we thought were both most important and most winnable or most possible. And obviously, the more we learn throughout this process, the mayor will issue his preliminary budget, I believe, in January. This will continue to be an iterative process with the goal of ultimately influencing the budget that gets implemented July 1, 2021. With that, are there any questions or comments about either the priorities or the statement? Oh, there was some friendly amendments that we received. So if you look in the Dropbox, that is the document that you should be looking at.
Questions? Everyone's happy with where it ended up? Congratulations, Jessica.
Thank you all.
All right, finally, last letter coming out of exec. This is actually coming out of the Social and Racial Justice Task Force, because again, these two items are coming from task force. They go to exec first, and then exec brings them to the full board. Viren or Katie, who's going to address the letter? Viren, are you here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, okay.
Took me a while to unmute. Katie, chime in when you can. Community Board 10 came to Social and Racial Justice Group. They have been working on this project since December last year, where they're calling for an installation of permanent exhibit to commemorate Exonerated 5 in Central Park. And they made a very comprehensive presentation to the group. The group was very impressed with their passion and the sort of rationale and the manner in which they actually conceive this exhibit. They're not clear about whether it's going to be a sculpture or a sort of mural or a combination of the two. But they're looking to do something on the northeastern parts of Central Park. We felt that we should stand in solidarity with the educational intent of the exhibit itself. And the group felt that we should write a letter of support, and we brought it to executive committee, which was unanimously approved. Katie, anything you want to add?
Just that CB10 is making an effort to go around and speak to a whole bunch of different community boards, because they've said that it's important to them, and they've also heard from Gil Brewer's office that it would be really useful to try and get support from lots of community boards, because Central Park is a place that everybody should feel welcome, and that this is an important issue. So their visit to us was one of the first ones that they're doing, but they're looking for letters of support from lots of different community boards.
Just a correction, they already have, I think, a letter of support from CB11.
That's right. We were one of the first, yeah, but not the first.
Okay. Any questions on this? Okay. Then we're going to move to our roll call vote.
No, I
We are
see
voting.
Brett has his hand up.
Oh, I didn't see that. I'm sorry. Brett, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, no, just with my background, I'm a advocate for justice reform, and it's what I do for just is my career and is a passion of mine. So the plight of any individuals who don't have access to justice, who face problems in the system, it's a very heart-rendering kind of situation for someone to be in. You know, that said, my concerns about just putting support, it's a little bit unprecedented that someone's got an exhibition and it's not in our district to be involved. And I'm also a little reluctant, very reluctant to sign on to supporting an exhibition that I have really no idea what it's going to look like, what are going to be the contents. Is it, you know, so it's you know, at its base, the idea of educating people on what could happen if we don't have a fair and just system is, I think, very well founded and a great mission. It's just the specifics of the idea of supporting another board's exhibition when we don't have any control over it, and I don't know what it is. Those are just my concerns about that. I don't know if that was a discussion in exec, that those issues were raised, but that it would be a little, I think, outside of our purview and what we would typically do. You know, a more appropriate way of supporting might be to actually write letters individually to their community board, show up at their meetings when they have anything to do with the proposal. I think that's, you know, we can show support as individuals, but I think it's for our district to represent. It's just, those are my concerns.
I will add something here. This was originally presented by CB10 at a monthly borough board meeting, and they asked all the chairs to sign on, and there was some, not pushback from other boards, but there was a request from a lot more information before any of the other boards would sign on. So that's why Gail urged them to present to each of the various community boards. I know that doesn't really answer your question, Brett, but I wanted to just make sure that information was out there. Dolores, I see your hand.
There is precedent for, especially at borough board level, for this board having supported or been supportive of another community board's wish to continue with some action. So I think that if we are thinking of this more broadly, that we're being supportive of one of our other community boards in pursuing, because let's make no mistake, this is a project they are hoping to have happen. They have not created any type of fundraising for this. It hasn't been actualized. There is no actual design. This is a concept. And so our support is for the concept and the support of that community board pursuing the concept. If at some point in time they came back to us to opine on the design and how it would impact the flow of movement at that part of Central Park, that would be completely inappropriate for us to opine on because it's not our district. But again, there has been precedent, and I don't think that the issue here is saying that we are signing on to exactly what they're designing and exactly what they're doing. And it's the concept of saying we're supportive of another community board pursuing this idea of bringing about the potential of an exhibit marking these issues that all of us have concerns about.
Thank you, Dolores. Josephine?
So for me, this is really the concept, as Dolores so well explained, is about this city's racial bias in the criminal justice system. Our community board has set up this task force specifically to deal with issues involved with social justice and racial justice in terms of the criminal justice system. So this is a perfect example of something that went horribly wrong to children who were aged 14 to 16 years old in Central Park, which is all of New York City's backyard, especially Manhattan. And Community Board 4 does represent one of the gateways to Central Park, being on the southwest corner. So I think that this is a perfect time and an example to show our support. And I hope that this mural serves as a place of healing and education, and just says something that, you know, we recognize what basically has happened. So no, we haven't had access to what this is actually going to look like, but I think that supporting the concept that yes, this is true. This is a reality that Black men are often targeted by the police due to racial discrimination, and that's what this is about, and that's what our task force is about, and so that's why I was very supportive of writing this letter. And thank you very much to Dale for working on this.
Anyone else? I'm not seeing any other hands. Okay, thank you all. We're going to move to a roll call vote. There are 17 items. Just to remind you, there are 8 from BLP. There were no comments or discussions on any of them. There were the 2 letters from Clinton Hell's Kitchen Land Use about Slaughterhouse. There are the 4 letters from Transportation. Number 11 is about City Bike. Number 13 is about the helicopter safety. Item 15 is the letter about the 36th Street shelter from HHHS. 16 is the budget request and statement of district needs, and 17 is the letter from the Social and Racial Justice Task Force. Mike and Leslie, are you ready to take over?
Yep, I'll read the names. Leslie will notate. We've got one member who's not identified. He's on the phone, so I don't know who that is. You see that one?
Pete Diaz is still only listed as MCB4 member.
Okay.
Never changed his name. I'm going to say one other thing before we get to the roll call. Get your vote sheets in right after this meeting. I don't want to have to chase anyone again. I chased people last month. I don't want to chase anyone this month. Come on, people, you can do this.
And those were some mean emails if you saw them.
Okay.
Mike and Leslie.
Okay, I'm sorry, Mike, before you start, just because I've put it in the chat multiple times tonight, and I've emailed it to everybody tonight as well. I just want to make sure everybody has the vote sheet.
No excuses.
All right, great.
Okay. Starting off with Sarah Appleton.
Yes on all.
Christine. Christine Berthet, you're muted.
Yes or no?
Okay, Gwen Billig, are you here tonight?
I saw her.
Yeah, she's connected. It says connecting to audio. Give her a second.
Okay.
Move on to the next person. You can circle back to Gwen. She's starting. Looks like she's trying to connect.
Okay. Leslie Bogosian Murphy.
Yes to all.
Viren.
Yes to all.
Jessica Chase.
Yes to all.
Dale.
Yes to all, and my vote sheet's in.
Judith Dayhill.
Yes to all.
Marty Ducat.
Yes to all, my vote sheets in.
Great. Paul Devlin.
Yes to all.
Tina. Tina. I saw you earlier. Well, we'll have to come back to Tina as well. Pete Diaz.
Yes to all.
Brett. Brett Furfer.
You're on mute,
All
Brett.
right. Abstaining on 17, yes to the rest.
Oh, abstaining then. Next, Elzora.
Yes to all.
Wendy Gonzalez.
Yes to all.
David Haloka.
Yes to all.
Frank.
Yes to all.
Josephine.
Yes to all.
Carrie Keenan.
Yes to all.
Blake.
Yes to all.
Bert. Yes to all. Christopher.
Yes to all.
Jeffrey.
Yes to all.
Betty.
Yes to all.
And for the last time, Morgan McLean.
Yes to all.
Very good. Sarah Mills.
Yes to all.
Myself, Mike Noble, yes to all. JD.
Yes to all.
Maria.
Yes to all.
Alan Oster.
Yes, 1 through 17.
Brad Pascarella.
Abstain on 13 and yes to the rest.
Is Rhonda Patillo here tonight?
No.
Twee.
She's not here either.
Twee sent her regrets in advance.
Okay. Joe?
Yes to all except 14, present not eligible.
Sabrina?
Yes to all.
Dolores?
Yes to all.
Brian Sokal?
Yes to all.
David Solnick?
Yes to all.
Katie Stokes?
Yes to all.
Kit Tollerson?
Yes to all.
Marty Treat? Marty here? I don't think Marty's here tonight, is he?
No, I haven't seen him.
Okay. Hector Vasquez?
Yes to all.
Rob Walker?
Yes to all.
James Wallace?
Get used to saying President Biden. Yes to all.
David Barnes?
Yay to all. And I sent in.
Okay. Leslie Williams?
Yes to all.
Colin Wright?
Yes to all.
And okay, we're going back then to Gwen Billig. Are you back yet? Gwen?
Yeah, she doesn't seem to be able to connect. I'm not sure what's going on. I asked her if she could.
Yeah, I asked her to post it in the chat, and she hasn't.
Can she just raise her hand?
I asked her to post it in the chat, but she hasn't done that either. So,
all right, and then you, Lowell, you're the last.
you got to go back to Tina as well.
Oh, Tina, yeah.
Tina, you here with us?
She's here. You're muted, Tina. Yes, I see her. Yes to all.
And I am yes to all.
Okay, Gwen, we're going to give it another try.
Now, I think Gwen is going to be a no vote. Not a no vote, but a non-vote.
Present not voting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Get your vote sheets in.
Monster.
Hey, it's your office that makes me do this, Jesse.
I know.
Yes, JD.
I want to say one thing about Morgan McLean. He's been a terrific member of this Hell's Kitchen community and a wonderful member of the Land Use Committee. Morgan, you can park on my block anytime. We're going to miss you. You have been just a wonderful, valuable member for all these years.
Thank you,
So
JD.
good luck to you,
I
pal.
feel the same. Morgan will miss you.
Agreed.
I'm going to try to get back as soon as I can, but right now I'm going to take a little bit of a break. I can't go through my savings, and I want to say I'll miss you all, but I'll join you in the Zoom meetings. And if you any advice at opening that garden on 48th Street and that opening that nightclub in that garden, JD, you let me know. I lived there on 48th Street in 1980 before you moved up here.
I know. It's going to be an affordable housing site, and Joe will save an apartment for you.
Okay, and that nightclub on the first floor. Great. Good to see you.
Good night, everybody.
Anything else? We're adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Good